Here we have prepared a 20-minute group counseling simulation example for patients with an ED and SUD co-occurring disorder.
So it's just about 7 o'clock and it looks like everybody's here. So I think we'll begin the session if that's all right. It's really great to see everybody again. I hope that you guys had a great week. So before we begin, just want to go over the norms of the group, which is, I know that you're all familiar with them at this point in time, but a quick refresher never hurt anyone. So let's remember that we've all agreed to respect each other's confidentiality. What's shared in group should stay in group. Let's also remember that we've all agreed to treat each other with respect and dignity. We're here to support each other, and part of that is not interrupting each other and not putting each other down or being in competition with each other. Another good thing to remember is that this is a time-limited session. It's about 90 minutes, so we just would like everyone to keep their responses within reasonable time limits, so every chance to share. And another thing to keep in mind is that about halfway through, about 45 minutes in, we'll have a 10-minute break, so that'll be a good time to use the washroom or grab another coffee, whatever you'd like. So does anyone have any housekeeping issues? No? Okay, so I'm going to give the floor to Marla here for a minute, but before, let's just go around and say our names one more time, just in case some of us forget or whatnot. So my name's Jessica, and I'm one of your group facilitators for today.
And I'm Marlon, the other facilitator for today.
My name is Jana.
I'm Michelle.
Kristen.
I'm Ashley.
I'm Elise.
Okay, guys. So it's really good to see you here today. What we're going to do today is that we are going to review the homework from the previous session. So if you remember properly, what we asked you guys to do last week was we gave you guys a daily mood log, and we were going to, that you're holding now, and we're going to review what triggers you identified for your eating disorder, right, for your anorexia. So I appreciate that you did your homework. I know that it's not always easy, but because this is cognitive behavioral therapy, identifying these kind of things is really quite important and helpful. So let's see, Ashley, what do you want to start us today?
Sure. So Saturday night I went to this holiday party and there were a lot of different foods available, and I felt like they were all really fatty and high in calories and sugar. And it wasn't really the type of food that I would normally make for myself. So I just felt like everyone was watching me and that I had to eat it, and I really didn't want to. I just felt trapped and overwhelmed, and I really just wanted to escape and run away.
So this party was quite stressful for you, actually. Like you definitely, like you said, you felt trapped and overwhelmed. How intense did you say in your mood log that these feelings were from 1 to 10?
I rated myself as a 9. I was just really uncomfortable in that situation.
So your feelings were definitely quite strong, and I would be interested also in knowing what were your thoughts more or less at this time of discomfort? What was going through your head?
I really thought that the food was just too fattening, and I was really afraid of it making me gain weight. And I thought that if I didn't eat it, they would judge me for that.
So definitely a challenging experience, this party then. Okay, thank you for sharing, Ashley. I appreciate that. Elise, would you want to continue? What did you identify last week?
On Monday morning, I noticed that the scale was back in my bathroom, and my stepdad was really into working out lately, and he keeps putting the scale back into the bathroom, and I have to keep taking it out because I find it really triggering, and I really wanted to weigh myself at that moment, and I felt a lot of anxiety that if I did weigh myself, I would weigh too much, and I knew the number would be high, and I just got really upset.
Okay, yeah, so seeing this scale, it made you feel really uncomfortable. It really brought up some feelings of anxiety for you. How strong did you indicate that these feelings were?
I said that they were about a 6 or a 7. I was uncomfortable that he's always putting the scale back, and when me or my mom puts it away, I mean, it's nothing new really. I just don't really understand.
Okay, yeah. Well, thank you for sharing about your feelings around the scale. And what were some of the thoughts that were going through your head when you were in the bathroom and this was going on?
I just think that my dad doesn't really understand me, what I'm going through, and that if I weighed myself and I saw how much weight that I gained, I would lose control and that I would just go back to the way I used to be.
Thank you for sharing that. That's definitely one of the biggest triggers in recovery, especially early recovery for anorexia, that weight, that significance we place on the number on the scale. So not an easy one, not an easy one. Jenna, what was your week like?
So on Wednesday afternoon, I went to the mall with my friend to buy some jeans, and the size that I used to be didn't fit anymore, and I had to ask the lady to keep bringing bigger and bigger sizes. It was so embarrassing. I finally got the size that fit, and I asked my friend how I looked. She said I looked healthy, and I was just horrified. To me, healthy is just another word for fat. I felt so uncomfortable and ugly, and oh my god, my stomach is sticking out right now. It just looks like a big balloon, like I'm pregnant or something.
I'm sorry, Jen. I'm just going to stop you right there. Remember that we're trying to stay away from putting ourselves down.
Sorry.
Okay? Oh no, that's okay. But we just want to try to remain positive towards ourselves while we're here, okay? But I can understand how hard this experience was for you. I think shopping is a pretty significant trigger for a lot of people. It sounds like you had some pretty strong feelings of insecurity and maybe feeling like you weren't attractive. How strong were these feelings, and what were some of the thoughts that were going through your head when you were trying on clothes?
My feelings were a 10. It was the worst thing ever. It was awful. Some of my thoughts were like, oh my god, I'm so fat, and how can I ever let myself get this way? I just want to go home and do some coke, because that's what keeps me skinny, and I just want to be skinny again.
Okay, so this was a pretty traumatic, triggering experience for you. You've had a lot of self-deprecating thoughts going on in your head. Thank you for sharing. I know it takes courage, so I really appreciate that. So what about you, Kristen? What came up for you this week?
The other day when I was in the grocery store line, I saw a magazine with an actress on the front, and she was so pretty and tan and beautiful, with her all skinny, with her ribs sticking out, and I felt that I just wanted to be like her, and I was jealous, and because of the way I used to, she was the way I used to.
Kristen, so maybe that image of that woman, that model on the magazine, maybe some envy coming up, you refer to some jealousy, and maybe comparing yourself as well, right, to this woman on this magazine. So how strong would you rate these emotions, and what thoughts were evoked?
Once I got to the parking lot, I was able to sort of be okay, so it was probably only about a 4 on the scale.
Okay.
I guess I think though that it bothers me why she can be skinny on the cover and look okay, but I can't be that skinny and it's okay.
Okay, you bring up a really great point, Kristen. I think that for a lot of us, these in our society, we're surrounded by these unrealistic portrayals of women that are extremely thin, they're photoshopped, they're not realistic at all, and I think it can be really triggering for us, and it can make us compare ourselves to them and feel inadequate next to them. So thank you so much for sharing. Now, Michelle, what kind of came up for you this week that you'd like to share?
Okay, so Thursday evening I was with a friend that I haven't seen in a while. So when I saw her, she just lost a lot of weight, and for me, like, she looked amazing, but I don't know, like, she was talking about this amazing diet she has as her new routine, and she also has a new boyfriend, and she's getting tons of attention from guys. I don't know, like, I used to be skinny like that one time, and now I don't think that I'm getting as much attention from men anymore, so.
Michelle, it sounds like maybe you weren't feeling that great with that meeting with your friend, right? And I pick up some maybe unhealthy competition going on, comparing yourself quite a bit with what she looks like now, what you used to look like now, before, and where you're at now, and then some competition related to the attention with men as well. So maybe some feelings of inadequacy, of inferiority. How would you grade your emotions from 1 to 10, and what thoughts were going on in your head?
I would say that my feelings were pretty strong at that time. I would rate myself probably an 8. Again, like I said, the competition, and also, the feeling that she thought she was better than me, and the fact that I may not receive that kind of attention from men anymore.
Okay, thank you for sharing, Michelle. I think that when we find ourselves with people who are kind of competitive with us about weight, or who keep steering the conversation to like dangerous subjects like food, exercise, dieting, I think it can be really triggering for us, so I can imagine how difficult that was for you.
Okay guys, so thank you for sharing all your triggers on the eating disorder. That was really good job. Now we would like to start brainstorming a little bit about coping skills. If you're not familiar with the term coping skills, it's actions or behaviors that we partake that are healthier and help us deal with negative emotions and negative thoughts in our daily lives. And what we're going to do is that actually our next session will be addressed specifically for coping skills. But right now, for what we want you guys to do is we're going to start thinking about what we could have done to deal with these situations, with these triggers that you guys had a little bit better. And then also we will later on identify some triggers for substance abuse. So not just the eating disorder, but things that make you want to use drugs again. All right. Okay, so Ashley, would you like to start us off?
Sure. So in the future, when I go to a party or a holiday dinner, instead of going alone, I can bring someone with me. And that way I have someone with me who's supportive and aware of my struggles around eating and food, and that way maybe I'd feel more comfortable and safe in the situation, and it wouldn't be quite as stressful.
Oh, that's great, actually. I think that reaching out to family members and friends, especially those that are aware of our struggles with eating, is a great coping skill, and I think that many people have found that really helpful to reduce the stress in these sorts of situations. How about you, Elise? Have you come up with a coping skill that might help you?
I think that having the scale in the washroom is too triggering for right now, and I don't think I can cope with that. So I think the best thing to do is call a family meeting and just talk to everyone and tell them that I can't have the scale in the bathroom and that it's upsetting me, and I need them to keep it in their own bedrooms so that I won't see it.
Okay, yeah, that's great, Elise. You brought up a really good point. I think sometimes, especially when we're in the early time of our recovery process, some triggers are just too hard for us to cope with. By talking to your stepdad and asking him to take the scale out, you're removing the trigger, and I think that's an excellent coping skill within itself. So thank you for sharing. What about you, Jana? Have you come up with a coping skill that might help you?
Next time I'm in the mall buying clothes and I find myself thinking negative thoughts and putting myself down, I will try to stop myself and recognize that I'm putting myself down. I could try and have more realistic expectations for my weight. So next time I'm in the mall buying clothes, I find myself thinking these negative thoughts and putting myself down, I will try to stop myself and recognize that I'm putting myself down. And I could try and have more realistic expectations for my weight and changing my thinking, making it more healthy, and repeating some positive affirmations such as I'm hot, I'm more than just my weight, and I'm superwoman.
Jana, that's excellent. Actually, positive affirmations have a great positive impact in changing our distorted thinking and the way we feel about ourselves. So that's excellent, and you recognizing your beauty and your worth beyond the weight. Positive affirmations are a really good tool. So awesome work, Jana. Thank you. So let's see, Kristen, what could you do next time we're at the grocery store to help you cope a little bit better?
I think the next time I'm in a grocery store, I can just try to slow down a little bit so I don't have automatic reactions to the magazine covers and the skinny models and everything. I can try doing this by deep breathing or just taking a moment just to stop if I get carried away with when I start comparing myself to the unrealistic sort of approach.
Oh, that's great, Kristen. Deep breathing and slowing down is definitely a great way to stop those knee-jerk reactions, those automatic reactions that aren't always the most healthy, and get us thinking more rational thoughts. So I'm glad you brought that up. So what about you, Michelle? Is there a coping skill you'd like to share with us?
I think for me, my friend was really competitive, like you said, and that was a huge trigger for me. So I think the best thing for me to do is try to not see her very often, or just minimal interactions with her, and just surround myself with positive people.
Actually, that's pretty good job. Like the identifying that maybe you need to start setting healthier boundaries and trying to be aware of what people are supportive at this point in your recovery and which are maybe not the most supportive, maybe even a little dangerous for your recovery is a really, really good coping skill to identify that and set those boundaries. So good job.
Okay, great guys. I'm really impressed. You guys all were able to identify some really helpful coping skills that I think will help you to be healthy and to avoid engaging in some of those behaviors that you used to maybe engage in that supported your eating disorder. So that's awesome. So before you guys leave today, we're going to be handing out your homework for next week. So your homework is going to be to fill out daily mood logs. Just like last week, the only difference is that you'll be filling out these daily mood logs with triggers regarding your substance use disorder and not your eating disorder. So that will be your job every single day to fill out those sheets with triggers that come up for you during each day. So that would be great if you guys could do that. And
So what we're gonna do is, in order to help you start off that identifying those triggers, we're gonna start going around the room and seeing what triggers you already identify regarding your drug use. So let's see, Ashley, would you be interested in starting us off, or anyone else wants to volunteer? Jenna?
So I know that for me, when someone spills sugar or anything that comes in a powdery form, I just want to do a line of Coke. And because that's my drug of choice, I find that very triggering.
That's good. So white powder is a visual cue that kind of reminds you of cocaine, and it makes you want to use it. Sounds like that's a good one. Thank you for sharing. Would anybody else come up with a trigger that they think they might find?
For me, I guess with that friend, like when I'm with friends that drink, it makes me more prone to want to drink.
Yeah, Michelle, actually, usually hanging out with people that you used to use with or drink with is a very common trigger. So identifying that is a big step. And yeah, a lot of times it's really hard to be with those friends and not use, right? Anyone else want to share?
I'll go.
Okay.
Well, I work in sales, and I often have to take clients out for meals, and usually that involves beer and drinking wine. There's always alcohol around, it seems, at these meetings. And I find it really hard not to drink them. I feel like it really negatively impacts my working relationship with my clients.
Okay, yeah. Thank you, Ashley. I think that situations where we feel there's pressure to drink or there's an expectation to drink can be really challenging. So thank you for bringing that up. How about you, Elise? Any triggering situations you think you might encounter over the next week?
My stepdad really makes me angry, especially when he puts a scale in the bathroom, but I really want to smoke pot because I find it's the only thing that calms me down and makes me feel better.
Yeah, Lisa, you are identifying like the use of substances like pot in this case to deal with those negative emotions that come up and how we used to do that, right? So I think identifying that it's a very common trigger, and it's a really good insight from your side. Kristen, what are some of the things that make you want to go back to drugs?
I find when I hear certain kinds of music, I really want to do drugs. So like when I hear Bob Marley, I always just want to do a big fat joint.
Okay, thank you, Kristen. Yeah, I think music can remind us of a certain substance, and they can also put us back into that period when we used to do the substance, so that can be really triggering. I think that's a common one, thanks.
Okay guys, so again, great job in identifying like quickly these triggers. We will hand out daily mood logs in a sec. And just like you did with the substance use, it's just identifying triggers for, in this case, for the eating disorder. This week we're gonna work on the substance abuse. But I really appreciate all the effort you're putting in. Great job, and I hope this week is a little bit easier than last. Thanks, guys.
Well, thank you. Hope to see you all next week.